Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into the Storytime Multimedia podcast. I'm John, and today we are with my good friend Jordan Montgomery of Montgomery Companies. Welcome.
How you doing, man? Thanks for having me on.
Doing
this
good.
Is fun.
Yeah. Jordan and I just actually finished filming a series of videos, and I can't wait to share those with people. We got some special effects and stuff that I think it's just going to be really cool.
You're dynamite, man. It's been fun working with you.
Yeah.
I just appreciate how you do things and your creative side, and we have some fun in between too. So.
Yeah. And you know, that's one of the things that I'm always looking for is I don't like being the person that comes in and drives everything. Having a collaboration with somebody and, you know, somebody that can go, hey, that idea is not good.
Yeah.
And seriously, like, oh, okay, great. Let's do
all
it.
of the free videos, the fact that you haven't charged us for anything you've ever done has just been amazing. So keep it coming.
Oh,
that is a joke for our listeners. You are an awesome business partner. That is a joke. As good as John is, he is not free.
Well, I appreciate that. So just to start off, just so listeners have a little bit of background before we get started, is you and I actually grew up together. We both went to Mid-Prairie.
That's right.
And we both worked for your dad, who owns a painting company when we were teenagers. Yeah. And I just forever feel bad for... I was not a good employee. But
we've come a long way.
Yeah.
I think one time my dad, I was really young. I should make sure everybody knows that part. But I think I fell asleep on the job. You might have been there. And so maybe it was
I might have showed you where
your fault that you weren't holding me accountable.
I might have showed you where the napping spot was.
You were technically a little bit older, so I'm going to pin that on you.
Yeah, for sure. Oh,
sorry, Jay.
Yeah. Actually, there was one story that I remember. I can't remember his name, but he worked for your dad. He's probably in his early 40s, never wore a shirt.
Really?
Shirtless. Yeah, so he would always wear a shirt.
How much business are we getting my dad right now? He employs some rock stars, clearly.
No, he does now.
He does now. You're right.
He had to get rid of the weeds, which was us, right?
The weeds,
yeah.
Yes. Not the weed. Just the weeds.
Yeah, the weeds.
Yeah.
So, but he also didn't have a driver's license.
Oh, jeez.
So your dad drove him around to all the job sites.
Yeah.
So there was one time where, I don't know if you remember this, I took a big slice of cardboard and I spray painted "Just Married" on it.
I do remember that on the back of the van.
Yeah. So your dad's driving this guy around that doesn't have a shirt with this "Just Married" sign on it. And the funny thing is I ran into your dad a couple years ago and I was like, dude, yeah, you didn't know. And he's like, oh, I knew it was there.
Oh my gosh. And he just let it happen?
Yeah, he just let it happen. And then I was like, why would you ever do that? And now that I'm a dad, I realize that I don't care what people think about me. So so I'm like, so now I'm in a place where I'm like, yeah, maybe I would actually.
I think I have heard him tell that story before.
Yeah.
You were your creative side was being unleashed on the job site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
hilarious, man.
So just having grown up, we have a lot of friends in the same circle, and now that we have social media and stuff, so some of my friends that are definitely they know who you are, maybe haven't connected with in a while. They're like, hey, we saw that you're working with Jordan. What is Jordan up to? So I don't know, would you mind giving a little bit of an overview of Montgomery Companies and what your mission is?
Yeah, would love to. So I speak and I coach. I work primarily with people that are in the people business. So they're usually in a sales role, or they're an entrepreneur, or they're in a leadership position. And so our work spans multiple industries, and we work with a lot of people that are not local. So oftentimes it's video conference over the phone, or I'm traveling to speak. But we love Iowa. This is home, and we've got several people that we collaborate with, you being one of them, that really helps move our mission forward. But our mission, John, simply put, is really to help people play to their potential. So if it's driving results in business, if it's finding more balance in their life, if it's an athlete, it might be playing more to their potential and staying more focused. But we've been really fortunate in a really short period of time to work with just some really talented people. And I've obviously grown just by being exposed to those people. So it's been fun.
Yeah, that's great. So was there a particular, at what kind of crossroads did you move into this route? Because I know that you were doing stuff before, so I didn't know.
Yeah. I think, I had a conversation with a mentor of mine named Ben Newman, who's done the work that I'm doing now at a really high level. And he's worked with a lot of professional sports teams and He works with Microsoft. I mean, just some big name, companies. And I've always respected Ben. We've had a great relationship for a long time. And I was just talking to Ben about the desires of my heart and the things that get me excited and light me up. And he said, well, you should do what I do. And so I decided to do it. And really, we always use this mantra, John, of like, build the plane as you fly it. Because I really did not intend to make the hard right turn. I thought it'd be more of like kind of a, just a slow right over time.
Sure.
And God was good. He provided. We took a couple intentional steps. But the reality is we had some people around us that were willing to say yes and go with us. You always need some crazy people to say yes, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we had enough of those crazy people to say yes. And they're still with us today, clients that we work with and that we get to serve. So it's been really fun.
That's awesome. So looking back, having kind of been a year out, what would you say that you wish you could go back and do anything different, or would you keep it the same?
I don't know that there's a lot I would have done different, because I think everything you do, good or bad, brings you to where you're at today. Actually, I think the things that I've done wrong or the things that I've done poorly are probably the things that have taught me the most.
Sure.
We always say failures and never trying. We've tried a lot. Like there's one thing I'm proud of about what we've done is that we've put ourselves out there quite a bit. I'm willing to take emotional risk and have difficult conversations, and so I don't know that there's actually much that I would go back and change.
That's good.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about what I've gone through just in starting up a business and things like that. So yeah, that's great.
It's good.
So what you were talking about failure, how do you describe to clients that are maybe starting a business or starting a new venture, how do you talk about failure with them? Because I think, at least in my experience working with a lot of other creative people, you have one bad job or like you get one bad customer review and then you kind of just want to throw in the towel because you feel like you failed.
Sure.
Or so how would you walk through something like that with someone?
I think failure is necessary, right? If you want to play to your potential, I think and be really good at what you do, I think you have to fail often and fail quickly. We always talk about fail fast because you want to figure out what the wrong things are quickly so that you can start working on the right things.
Sure.
John Maxwell wrote a really good book called You Either Win or You Learn. And so just all about how failure breeds success. And there's you look at anybody who's great at what they do, and there's like this long list of failures that they've had to endure and go through. And so we all love to hear about those stories, right? Like we watch movies about failure, and the people the redemption story, right? Or the comeback story. So we all love stuff like that. I think our culture almost obsesses over people that fail and then come out of the woods, right?
Yeah.
But nobody wants to go through it. So everybody wants to hear about it. Nobody wants to go through it.
Sure.
And that, honestly, I think that's what prevents people from being great at what they do, is they're just not willing to fail. And so they kind of protect themselves and they won't ever really take a chance. And I think the only true failure in life would be somebody that, you get to the end of your days and you look back and you haven't come anywhere close to your potential. Mm-hmm. That to me would be failure.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. So I guess one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot, just because I'm a newer business, is there a difference between the younger clients that you work with and the older clients in terms of work ethic and what matters the most? And I guess the reason that I'm asking that question is I come from a construction family. Construction, and I love it. I love doing construction. But starting up a media business, I have to remember that I can't base my business success off of Instagram likes and Facebook likes and things like that. And so I'm just wondering, is that a challenge with, younger entrepreneurs or,
Yeah, I think identity, right, is ultimately what you're talking about, is making sure that your identity is in the right things, not in your performance at work or in your business or your bank account.
Yeah.
I think that can be a challenge in a world that, we are so often judged by our social media presence or the car that we drive or the house that we live in. I think helping people with that, and I had an experience in my life in my mid-20s that really forced me to learn that my identity was not in my bank account, my professional status,
Yeah.
So so I'm lucky that I had an experience that taught me a lot about just the principle of identity and where you find your worth and your value and your treasure. But I think it's something we really have to work at with young people, and helping them embrace failure, helping them avoid the comparison trap,
Yeah.
because the thief of joy is comparison. And there are certainly generational differences, like I think the baby boomer generation really valued hard work, long hours, get up early, stay late. And I think the millennial generation is just the opposite, right? It's like, how much can I get done on the least amount of time?
Sure.
How efficient can I be, right? I'm going to start a tech company, sell it all, and never work again. Like, that's the dream, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And that was not the case, I think, for our parents and people that came before them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So there's a ton of generational differences. Somebody that our listeners should follow if they want to dig into that would be Jason Dorsey. He's just a guru on how different generations operate differently, and does a lot of work in the millennial space specifically, so helping organizations and individuals understand how to motivate the millennial mind. So his name is Jason Dorsey.
Yeah, I'll have to check him out.
Yeah, check him out.
Yeah,
interesting dude.
That's great. So so on the topic of social media a little bit, you've been posting some pictures of you speaking at some pretty big venues lately. I think there was one I saw where you were speaking to about 15,000 people. I'm wondering, how do you
how we make it look like there's actually people in the room? Is that your question?
It looks like I'm trying to think of a comedian special where it's like this packed out arena or something like. But
you hire John Cho. You can make things look really special.
Yeah. All the people are digital, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, like, how do you get in that mindset? Because I think that I could feel pretty comfortable talking to like 100 people, 150 people. But 15,000, that's insane. So I'm just wondering, like, what kind of mindset do you have to be in before you set on stage? Are you using something that you wrote for that event, or are you kind of just?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would equate it to anybody who's ever played sports, right? Like, you're going to show up the same way for the worst team you play that year. You're going to show up the same way as you'd show up for the best team.
Yeah.
Right. Or you're going to show up for the preseason game the same way that you would show up for the playoff game. So that's the approach that we try to take. I don't know that my preparation really doesn't change. So if I go speak to a company and there's 50 people, I'm going to show up with the same type of intensity. Like I speak to a high school tomorrow, and I'm going to show up with the same type of intensity, preparation. In fact, after we get done with this, I'm going to go, journal for a bit and put some content together for that talk. We have a general outline, but I'm going to spend time on that, and it'll be a bunch of high school students. But I think, like, if you've been given the opportunity, been blessed with the opportunity to impact people, I think you also have the responsibility to show up fully ready, fully prepared, and just locked in, So that's the kind of the methodology or the philosophy that we sort of abide by. And there might be like a few more nerves or whatever,
Sure.
But I really don't think anything changes, as far as like what I'm thinking or how I prepare. Like, it's all the same.
Yeah, it's a good mindset to have.
Yeah.
You speak at high schools, you speak to large venues. What is your favorite group of people to speak to and connect with?
Yeah, I would tell you that two groups that come to mind. Young people, and I think the younger and more impressionable they are, the better, right? So love speaking to high school students. A majority of our work is with, people who are older, right? Like business executives and salespeople and leaders. And so I spend a lot of time working with that demographic. But if I get a chance to mix it up with younger people who are really impressionable, number one, the energy level's high. And number two, I think our impact can be, if I do my job the right way, more significant. Partially just because they're still making up their mind on what they hold to be true, not true, right? What's cool, what's not cool. Like, their values are still being formed.
Sure.
And sometimes if I get a group of people who's been in business for 20 or 30 years, like, they already have a preconceived notion of, number one, what I'm going to talk about, number two, how valid it is, number three, how they're going to receive it. So I would say a young group of high school students is awesome. The other arena that we've really fallen in love with is sports. just being in that environment where people are competitive, intense, they've got a serious drive. And I grew up just being a sports guy. So, for me, that'd be the other one.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with all these venues that you speak at, there's a lot of travel involved. So how do you manage traveling and your schedule with your family life? Because you're a dad, and obviously family time is really important. So I'm just wondering obviously I'm a dad too, so there's no perfect balance, but obviously, we're always striving. So I'm just wondering how you deal with that.
That's a great question. There's a guy named Ed Milet that I listen to a lot. I think you have to be careful, by the way, when you listen to like the quote influencers, right?
Sure.
Because I think if you listen to the wrong people that have a big voice or a big following, they can give advice that might be really helpful in a professional sense, but it might not help you become a great person,
Sure.
So I guess I've tried to follow people who are grounded, who have an abundant view of life, and they're trying to be, great with their family, great in the community, great in business. And so for me, Ed Milet's one of those people. He's been very successful in business, but he also has like a comprehensive, holistic view of what it looks like to be successful.
Yeah.
So Ed would always say, though, and this always caught me off guard, and I never really understood it, and I didn't agree with it. He would always say, I'd be curious to get your thoughts here.
Okay.
He would say, balance is a myth.
Okay.
Balance is a myth. And I didn't agree with that, right? I'm like, balance is not a myth. Balance is something that we should strive for. Like, we should strive to lead and live a balanced life. But when I heard Ed break it down, I very much agreed with how he broke down that sort of mantra of balance is a myth. Here's what he said. We shouldn't strive to be balanced because it causes stress and anxiety. So, for example, if you're with your family and you're thinking about business because you're trying to be balanced, that can cause stress, right? If you're in your business thinking about your family, that could cause stress. Mm-hmm. So rather than trying to balance it all or trying to be in multiple places at once, he said, we should just try to be fully present. Yeah. So if you're with your family, like you are totally and completely with your family, right?
Yeah.
And you're invested in the small moments that you're spending with family. And when you're spending time with family, the reality is your business is going to take a back seat. So Storyline is not booming, right, when you're laying on the floor with your baby girl. Right?
Yeah.
It's just not. It's just the reality. And that's okay, right? It's totally okay. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
Conversely, when we're sitting here, and doing this podcast, your little girl is not learning from you having fun with daddy, right? Like that looks different. Yeah. Right?
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Now you're providing for her, so it's an honorable thing. But in this moment, like, you're fully present right here, right now. Right?
Yeah.
And so I think accepting where you're at and being fully present and giving your time to whoever you're spending it with, assuming that you're spending your time in the right places.
Yeah.
Like, to me, I think it's a great recipe,
Yeah, absolutely.
So to your question, John, I would just say wherever I'm at, I try to be all there, right? It's like the principle of be where your feet are. I'm going to be fully invested, assuming that I've got the right priorities, right?
Right.
If I'm with John Choate, I'm going to be with John Choate. If I'm with my wife, I'm going to be just completely and totally with my wife. And and I tell you that if my wife called me right now and it was something urgent, I will pick her over you.
For sure.
But again, like, we all have a work life, and I think we should be invested and be fully present in that work life. It just can't be more important than the other parts of our life.
Sure, absolutely.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and just the whole theme of, being a parent, being a good husband, obviously I already know the answer, but I'm going to ask you this anyways. How has having kids changed your perception of just the world, what you do as a motivational speaker? Like, how has that influenced you? Because we were talking earlier about it's different and in a very good way. And I think that you tend to have more patience with people. And I'm just wondering what your thoughts on that are, since it's so fresh.
Yeah, I think, like, you start to realize how little you have figured out.
Yeah.
Once you start having children.
Right.
John Maxwell said this. He said, I used to talk about parenting until I had kids. And now I don't talk about parenting, Because, like, it's true. I find myself I'm like, wow. I mean, what you can learn from a child is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So I shared this with you earlier. I think it's allowed me to be more grace-giving. And I think the example I use, there's all kinds of examples, right? The example I used is, like, when a child is crying, I think when prior to kids, if I was in an airplane or I'm at a restaurant, right, I'd be like, man, that kid's crying. That's really annoying. And now you're just like, hey, totally get it. Like, I'm sorry. Like, let the baby cry. It's all good.
Can I help you in some way? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And yes. And you used the example of like stuff on your shirt, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe you used to judge people that it's like, man, why don't you have it more together? Like you look like crap.
Right.
Sometimes we just look like crap, right?
Yeah.
It's like baby threw up, spit up, threw something at me, like whatever.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, it's just allowed me to be more grace giving. See the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And then we talk often in our house about order of loves. So, for us, that's Christ and then spouse and then, children. And if those things are out of whack, if my order of loves isn't where it needs to be, then things can go sideways.
Yeah. So is there checks and balances on those priorities? Like, how do you maintain staying in?
Yeah. There are, and my wife would tell you that I don't always check the right boxes.
Sure. Right.
And so one of the things we've really had to work at is scheduling our time first. So my wife and I, if we put time on the calendar first for us and our family, things are good. That doesn't happen first and other stuff gets in the way. That could be work, it could be community, it could even be other good stuff, right?
Yeah.
Then things are sideways, I just think it's the way we were meant to live, right? Like our family and our faith should be the two most important things.
Yeah.
And when that's not reflected by how I spend my time, it shows up in my life in a negative way. So I think practically for us, if we schedule our time first, things are much better.
Yeah. It's the way to go.
Yeah. So simple thing, but it's super profound in our world.
Yeah. We have a Downton Abbey movie premiere night blocked off in our calendars.
I love it. Yeah, that's big time, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it was funny because when she was pregnant, like all the intense movies, the way we viewed movies totally changed. And so we're like, this movie's, a movie I've seen like 20 times. This is really violent. So then we got into Downton Abbey, and then I'm a huge fan now. And
now you're good.
So that's our next date night.
I don't even know that I've seen the movie or I know what you're talking about. But what I do know is that you've got focus time with your family doing something that you love. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, dude. Just this show's addicting, so just stay clear.
Okay. So stay away from it. But get quality time with family.
Yeah,
All right,
absolutely. Okay. Yeah, done. So we have the summit coming up, and that's a pretty big event. I was wondering if you would just want to talk a little bit about that, because we did a couple promos that have been blasted out on social media, and it's a great event. And I didn't know I was just wondering how it started, and if you wouldn't mind just talking a little bit about the summit.
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to. We just wanted to bring people together in the name of growth and getting better, and then also bring other really talented people to the region that aren't from here. So this year we've got two keynote presenters, Elizabeth Smart and Ron White, that are kind of on the national circuit, nationally recognized. And they're going to be here in Iowa City sharing their story. And we're really excited about that. So that was sort of the impetus. And again, like build the plane as you fly it. We actually thought we would do like a 30-person workshop. And last year it turned into like a 150-person event.
Oh, wow.
So it was not the intent to do something that big, but it just kind of happened. And then this year we'll have about 400 to 500 people.
That's amazing.
And I think a lot of that's just being around good people that help you think bigger.
Yeah.
So we've got a committee. We've got a lot of people that are intimately involved in putting together that event that have just helped us stretch our mind for, the vision and the capacity. And so anyway, we're excited. And kudos to you, man, for making that video.
Yeah.
It was awesome. So you've been a big part of that as well.
Yeah. It's been really fun just collaborating and getting to know more. And I think this is my favorite thing is I've just been meeting some really great people out of this whole experience. And it's just fun seeing the network, and it's just been amazing. So I got kudos to you for building such an incredible network. And so it's just fun being around people where you actually like walk out the talk. So it's really great.
Yeah. Well, I feel the same about you and so many others that we've been fortunate to collaborate with. I think about the quote or the adage of, you can tell the true character of a person by how they treat people who can't do anything for them. I want to be around people like that. Like we have people on our committee. You're one of those people for me. But we have people on the summit committee that have just gone like way above and beyond to be helpful.
Yeah. And
they don't need to be. They have no invested interest other than like they want to throw a cool event. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, man, I just feel so fortunate to have a lot of friends, a lot of people in my life that operate that way without strings attached. You know, it's like, hey, I just want to be helpful, want to bless you in whatever way that I can. And so, yeah, you're only as good as the people that you surround yourself with, you know?
Yeah, that's a big amen for that. Yeah, that's awesome. So what's on the horizon for 2020? Do you have anything that you're like really?
Definitely more videos with John Choate.
Okay, all right.
So
hey,
we'll be continue to produce as much content as we can. Yeah, you know, I don't know, just, you know, we want to have more impact. We want to be more efficient with our time. I would love to spend more time with my family this year than I did last year.
Yeah.
We have a baby girl at home. And so, you know, I think for all of us, hopefully this is true of most people, the goal in life should be to work less, have more impact, earn more income, and spend more time doing the things that we love, right?
Yeah.
Like with our family, in the community, with close friends. So that's kind of it, you know? And it's not to say I want to be lazy or, you know, I love work, but I want to be more efficient, more productive, go deeper where it really matters. I think I could afford to be more efficient with how I spend my time. So that would be a goal. But man, we're working in the world of sports. That's been fascinating and awesome. We just had an opportunity to work with Central Arkansas. Last year, Nathan Brown was named the youngest head coach in Division I football. So what a cool experience to learn from a guy like that. I mean, who just has a hugely bright future in coaching, and spend time with a bunch of, you know, young athletes who are, you know, rock star talented at what they do. So, you know, we're going to continue our work in sports, our work in business, hopefully try to impact as many people as possible.
That's awesome. Well, blessings to you, man. And I just love seeing what you're doing, and it's being fun, being a part of it. And unfortunately we're out of time, but, is there anything that you would just want to close down with? Maybe a word of encouragement? Has there been something that's been on your mind this week that you want to share with people?
Yeah, I'll share this. And you and I were having a conversation earlier.
Yeah.
I think before you're in any business, so for those listening, I think before you're in the business of doing whatever it is that you're doing, you're in the people business, you know? And so much of what we talked about today, if you really think about it, is centered on relationships.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to give a shout out to you that you have done an awesome job at building relationships and empowering and equipping others, you know?
Yeah.
So you're really, really good at what you do, no doubt. And Storyline will continue to grow because of it, because of your skill set and your ability to put together just amazing content and capture really cool moments and then write a story to go with the moments, right? Hence why it's called Storyline.
Yeah.
But I think what really sets you apart and what makes you special is your ability to make others feel great about what they do, about who they are, and to build relationships, to get introduced to new people. And like that to me is what makes Storyline. And that's what makes John Choate. So for those listening, man, I just wanted to give a shout out to you that there's two parts to the equation for me with Storyline. It's obviously skill set and ability. But there's a person behind Storyline who's got a really big heart that cares deeply for other people. So I think that's what makes the difference, you know?
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. And
well, I mean it, man.
Yeah.
It's true. So I'm excited to watch the journey unfold, and we're honored and proud to be a part of it.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much, Jordan, for being on the podcast today.
And it's good.
Until next time, thanks everybody for tuning in.
Yep. Thanks for having me, John. Appreciate it.